what do you see as the primary drivers behind the recent escalation in Lebanon, and how do they relate to the broader regional context and what we are witnessing right now?
Well, thank you for having me. Actually, it can be seen through that lens of response, action, and reaction. It's a vicious cycle. It's grown into a vicious cycle of violence and counter-violence, and fortunately, this is very harmful, of course, to the whole region, because by the hour, chances are increasing that things are getting out of hand, getting out of control into an all-out war, which would be highly costly. It would cause damage like never known before to the region. I believe not only the parties within the region will be involved, because if the pieces of news so far aired are verified in terms of hitting targets in Tel Aviv, hitting targets of natural gas platforms on the Mediterranean Sea, I believe this will cause other international players to be involved very soon.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Raslan, now, how do the internal political factions in Lebanon influence the country's response to external threats, such as the Iranian missile attacks that we just witnessed?
Well, actually, unfortunately, Lebanon, I would say it is the epitome of political inaction, political stagnation, considering what has been evolving in that country for decades now. It is sometimes when you have non-state actors maybe serving the interests of other parties, non-national parties, that brings about the situation we're witnessing now in Lebanon. And let's not forget about the fact that Iranian wave of missiles and other projectiles that have been launched on the minutes ago, it was, I believe it received some support, some military support by Hezbollah operatives on the ground, because they also launched a coinciding wave of rockets and other projectiles from the south of Lebanon.
Sir, now you've mentioned that an international community response could be imminent. Now, in what ways do you think the international community, particularly the US and European nations, should respond to the current situation in Lebanon and its implications for regional stability, keeping in mind the comments and statements that were just made by the US President Joe Biden?
Well, actually, let me take the last part of the question first. U.S. support to Israel is unlimited and unconditional. What I mean by a larger amount of or a higher level of involvement by the international community, well, what I expect to see within the following hours, if this turns out into direct targeting by the two countries of each other, I mean Iran and Israel, I believe if there are any sanctions left when it comes to exporting military equipment to Israel by any European country, these will be lifted. The United States is it is already in the process of increasing its military presence and fortifying its presence across the Middle East, and particularly in Israel. Equipment and other military shipments by air and by sea from the United States to Israel never stopped over the last year. Actually, the United States is so keen on replenishing the warehouses of ammunition and you name it, of military equipment in Israel, in order for Israel to be able to cope up with those challenges that are increasing by the hour.
Dr. Raslan, now you spoke of the role of the Lebanese factions in the current escalation. Now, do you think Hezbollah plays a role in the current escalation? And if so, how big of a role is it? And how might this current situation and these actions impact Lebanon's political landscape?
Well, it will have a very much lasting impact on the political landscape in Lebanon. Well, what I see is that Israel has been trying till a few hours ago to turn the Lebanese against each other because certain Lebanese sects or parts of other Lebanese communities that are not necessarily in agreement with Hezbollah and its agenda in the region, they have been so alert about what is going on in the region, what is about to happen to their country. We have seen so many strikes by air against Lebanese targets inside Lebanon. An Israeli ground operation is in the pipeline. All this is going to have a very lasting impact on the political landscape in Lebanon. But again, the ramifications of the whole situation into a regional all-out war will be very harmful and damage-causing to the whole region and also to international players.
So now, how might the situation in Lebanon affect the relationship between Israel and other regional players, especially in terms of the military and diplomatic strategies as we are witnessing this Iranian attack on Tel Aviv and on Israel has actually taken place on the tails of an earlier ground incursion into southern Lebanon by the Israeli forces?
Well, we have been seeing ramifications unfolding. We have seen certain declarations by aviation authorities in at least 3 countries in the region, especially those buffer states between Israel and Iran, Iraq, Jordan. They have suspended aviation. Also, you can expect other ramifications to take place, of course. The sum of all fears will be other non-state actors across the region getting more involved by targeting other countries within the region that are not necessarily direct parties to the current due to the current action and reaction on the military level between Israel and Iran.
Well, Dr. Raslan, now on the immediate term, rather, now what sort of potential scenarios do you foresee in the near future? How might these scenarios shape Lebanon's political and social landscapes?
Well, in Lebanon, you can imagine how harmful the whole situation to the whole country. Lebanon is a country on the brink of a food insecurity crisis. It is already suffering from a huge influx of domestic displacement. So many things are and developments are taking place in Lebanon. But again, the sum of all fears would be other parties involved in the region. For example, if you have Iran-backed movements within Iraq taking the initiative to target Israel or to target any other American presence, military presence in the region. The same applies, of course, to the Houthis in Yemen. We have been seeing what's going on to the south of the Red Sea at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The whole region is boiling. Hopefully, it will not reach the level of boiling over into an all-out war.
So now, speaking of boiling into an all-out war, now the U.S. have made it clear that it would support and defend and help Israel defend itself. Now, do you see other regions, other places within the region taking center stage as the battlegrounds of this sort of quote-unquote defense of Israel and its citizens?
Yes, this is what I've been trying to highlight in my earlier words. Other regional players, I mean, especially non-state actors, would be more involved. I believe Iran would use whatever it can if the situation turns into an all-out war. And again, buffer states as Iraq and Jordan, and maybe other states within the region with a military American presence might be targets for certain strikes if the situation escalates.